When people talk about success, they often imagine it as a dramatic breakthrough, a sudden rise from nothing to greatness, a single magical moment that changes everything. This illusion has been reinforced by movies, social media, and stories we hear about billionaires, athletes, or innovators who seem to have made it overnight. But what we don't see, what we rarely acknowledge, is the years of invisible effort, the countless small steps, the quiet progress that prepared them for that one defining moment. Success is not one giant leap, it is a series of small, almost invisible steps taken consistently over time. It is the power of small steps that transforms ordinary individuals into extraordinary achievers. Think about climbing a mountain. Nobody reaches the peak by trying to leap from the bottom straight to the summit. The mountain is conquered step by step, sometimes slowly, sometimes painfully, but always progressively. Each step may feel insignificant. Each step may feel like it is not getting you anywhere, but together they carry you higher and higher until you look back and realize how far you've come. That is exactly how improvement works in life. The step you take today may not look like much. It may be reading a few pages of a book, practicing a skill for half an hour, or waking up 10 minutes earlier. But when added together, these steps create momentum, and momentum is what carries you forward. The reason most people fail to achieve their goals is not because they lack ambition, talent, or intelligence. It is because they underestimate the importance of small actions. They think that if they cannot make a huge change all at once, it is not worth starting. They want transformation, but they forget that transformation is built from small bricks of effort laid down every single day. Consider the way water carves valleys and shapes rocks. A single drop of water looks powerless, yet over years and decades, those drops carve landscapes. In the same way, your small steps may feel like they are not making a difference, but they are reshaping your future in ways you cannot yet see. One of the greatest lies people tell themselves is, "I will start when the time is right." They wait for the perfect opportunity, the perfect motivation, or the perfect moment to take a giant leap. But the truth is, the perfect time never comes, and the giant leap never happens. What really changes a person's life are the tiny decisions they make daily. Do you choose to learn instead of scrolling endlessly on your phone? Do you choose to exercise instead of hitting snooze again? Do you choose to spend your money wisely instead of wasting it? These decisions may not look life-changing today, but they shape who you become tomorrow. If you want a relatable example, look at a child learning to walk. A child does not suddenly rise one day and run across the room. First, they crawl, then they stumble, then they fall hundreds of times before finally taking those steady steps. The falls are not failures, they are part of the process. Without those small, clumsy steps, the child could never learn to walk. In the same way, the small steps you take today may feel shaky, may feel unsteady, but they are training you for bigger steps ahead. Think about compound interest in finance. If you invest a small amount every single day, it doesn't look like much at first. But over time, the compounding effect multiplies it into something far greater. The same principle applies to your growth. Improving yourself just a little each day compounds into massive transformation. The human mind, however, is impatient. We want results now, and when we don't see them, we give up. But the wise understand that greatness comes slowly, silently, step by step. So when you wake up tomorrow and you feel that your effort is too small to matter, remind yourself that small steps are not meant to impress the world immediately. They are meant to transform you gradually. The change is not always visible in the mirror day by day, but it is happening inside you, and one day it will be undeniable. If you truly want to understand the magic of progress, you must learn the principle of compounding. Compounding is not just a financial concept. It is a life principle, and once you grasp it, you will never look at small daily improvements the same way again. Imagine improving yourself by just 1% every single day. At first, that 1% looks so small, almost insignificant, as if it does not even matter. If you read a few pages of a book, does it make you a scholar overnight? If you practice your craft for 20 minutes, do you suddenly become a master? If you save a small amount of money, does it instantly make you rich? Of course not. But here is where most people misunderstand growth. The real transformation does not happen in one day. It happens when those days are added together. 1% daily may not sound powerful, but mathematically it is extraordinary. If you grow 1% every day for a year, you do not end up just a little better, you end up 37 times better. 37 times. That is the compound effect of small actions repeated consistently over time. It is like rolling a snowball down a hill. At first, it is just a handful of snow, small, fragile, easy to overlook. But as it rolls, it gathers more snow. It becomes larger, heavier, and unstoppable. That is exactly how personal growth compounds. Tiny actions gather strength, build momentum, and eventually create unstoppable transformation. The tragedy is that most people quit before the compounding effect has time to work. They expect instant results, and when they don't see change in a week or a month, they lose faith. But life rewards patience. Compounding does not reveal itself immediately. It hides its power in the early days, testing your consistency, testing your commitment, asking you if you truly want the results or if you are only chasing quick fixes. This is why discipline is so important, because the first weeks of growth feel invisible, but what you cannot see today will surprise you tomorrow. Think about fitness. If you do 10 push-ups today, nobody will notice. If you eat one healthy meal today, you will not suddenly transform your body. But if you do 10 push-ups every day for a year, that is 3,650 push-ups. If you eat healthy consistently, your body begins to change, your energy rises, your confidence grows. What looked insignificant in one day becomes undeniable after 1 year. The same is true for learning. Read 10 pages daily, and after a year you have read over 3,000 pages. The equivalent of 10 to 15 books. Knowledge accumulates, habits accumulate, growth accumulates. Compounding also works in reverse, and this is why it is dangerous to ignore. If you neglect yourself by just 1% every day, if you waste your time, skip your responsibilities, and make excuses, those small declines also compound. 1 day of laziness may not hurt you, but 1 year of laziness will cost you opportunities, self-respect, and progress. Just as good choices multiply into strength, bad choices multiply into weakness. The principle of compounding does not care whether your actions are positive or negative. It simply magnifies whatever you feed into it. That is why awareness of your daily habits is so important, because your future is hidden inside them. What makes compounding so powerful is that it turns ordinary people into extraordinary achievers. You do not need to be the smartest, the richest, or the most talented to succeed. You only need to be consistent. The person who invests in small growth every day will surpass the person who waits for a perfect moment or tries to take shortcuts. Life does not reward occasional effort, it rewards consistent effort. The 1 cent rule is not just about growth. It is about building momentum, training your discipline, and creating a lifestyle where progress becomes natural. So when you doubt the power of your small daily efforts, remember this: 1% compounded daily is not small, it is exponential. It is the silent force that turns weakness into strength, hesitation into confidence, and dreams into reality. One of the greatest traps of our time is the illusion of quick success. We live in an age where everything is faster than ever before. Messages are instant. Food is instant. Entertainment is instant, and even fame can seem instant. Social media shows us young millionaires, viral stars, and overnight sensations, and it tricks us into believing that true success can be achieved instantly as well. But what most people never see is the reality behind the curtain. The years of work, the struggles, the failures, and the discipline that prepared those individuals for the moment when the world finally noticed them. Quick success is an illusion, and believing in it is one of the fastest ways to invite frustration, disappointment, and ultimately giving up on your own potential. Think about planting a seed. If you put a seed into the soil today, you cannot demand fruit tomorrow. You cannot stand over the soil shouting at it to grow faster, because growth has its own timeline. The seed must first take root. It must grow underground where nobody can see it. It must be watered and nurtured patiently before any visible progress appears above the surface. The same principle applies to your life. The work you put in today may remain invisible for weeks or months, but it is building roots inside you, preparing you for visible success later. If you pull the seed out because you cannot see the growth, you destroy the very thing that could have blossomed into something powerful. The problem with chasing quick success is that it creates unrealistic expectations. People start a new project, a business, a fitness plan, or a skill, and when they don't see instant results, they give up. They compare themselves to someone who is years ahead in the journey and feel discouraged, not realizing that the other person has walked miles of hard roads before reaching where they are today. Success is never a straight highway. It is a winding path filled with turns, setbacks, and detours, and only those who stay on the path long enough discover its treasures. Another danger of quick success is that even when people achieve something fast, they rarely sustain it. Imagine a person who wins the lottery and becomes a millionaire overnight. Studies show that many of them lose it all within a few years, not because they lack money, but because they lack the habits, the discipline, and the wisdom that come from gradual growth. Fast gains without preparation often lead to fast losses. But the person who builds wealth slowly, who learns discipline, who understands sacrifice, and who grows step by step, develops the strength to handle success when it comes. Real success is not only about achieving something, it is about sustaining it, and that can only be done when the foundation is strong. In life, the temptation for shortcuts is everywhere. People want to skip the process, skip the learning, skip the struggles, and go directly to the rewards. But the struggle is what gives the reward its value. Without the nights of effort, the mornings of discipline, and the seasons of failure, success would not mean anything. The process shapes you into someone capable of carrying the weight of your dream. If you rush the process, you remain unprepared, and unprepared success often turns into hidden failure. So whenever you feel frustrated that your growth is slow, remember that slow growth is not no growth. It is the most powerful kind of growth because it is real, it is lasting, and it is building you into a person who will not crumble under pressure. Quick success may look attractive, but it is the slow, steady success that stands the test of time. Talent is a gift, but talent alone is never enough. The world is full of talented people who never reach their potential, not because they lacked skill or intelligence, but because they lacked consistency. On the other hand, history is filled with countless individuals who are not the most talented, not the smartest, not the strongest, but they were relentless in showing up every single day. Over time, their consistency outshined the brilliance of those who relied only on raw talent. Consistency is the great equalizer. It transforms ordinary effort into extraordinary achievement, and it has the power to beat talent when talent refuses to show up with discipline. Think of an athlete. Natural talent may give them an early advantage, but if they skip training, if they fail to practice, if they depend only on their natural ability, eventually they will be overtaken by someone who works harder, someone who trains daily, someone who treats every small improvement as an investment in the future. Talent gives you a head start, but consistency ensures you cross the finish line. It is the daily repetition of effort, even when you don't feel like it, that separates champions from dreamers. The beauty of consistency is that it does not require genius. It does not require you to be the best from the beginning. It only requires you to commit and keep moving forward. Even small, imperfect steps repeated with discipline eventually lead to mastery. Learning a new skill, building a business, improving your health. None of these require extraordinary talent at first. They require you to show up when it is boring, to stay committed when motivation fades, and to keep working when progress feels invisible. Consistency is not glamorous, but it is unstoppable. Consider a dripping faucet. A single drop of water hitting stone looks powerless, but when that drop falls consistently, over time it carves through rock. That is the strength of persistence. The small daily actions that seem insignificant today are shaping your destiny tomorrow. Consistency builds habits, habits build character, and character shapes your entire life. You do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your habits, and habits are born out of consistency. Too often, people get trapped in cycles of excitement and burnout. They start strong, filled with motivation, making big plans, working intensely for a few days or weeks, and then they stop when the excitement fades. But the truth is, real growth does not come from bursts of effort, it comes from steady effort over time. You don't get strong from going to the gym once for 5 hours. You get strong by going regularly, even for short sessions. You don't become wise by reading 50 books in a week. You become wise by reading consistently over months and years. You don't build meaningful relationships with one grand gesture. You build them through consistent care and presence. Talent makes people admire you, but consistency makes people respect you. Talent can impress in the short term, but consistency builds a legacy in the long term. The person who shows up daily, who keeps working despite failures, who keeps moving despite doubts, will eventually surpass the one who depended only on talent. Life rewards the disciplined, not just the gifted. And perhaps the most empowering truth about consistency is that it is available to everyone. Not everyone is born with exceptional talent. Not everyone has natural brilliance. But everyone has the ability to be consistent. The choice is yours. Whether you will show up today, tomorrow, and the next day, even when no one is watching, even when no one claps, even when no results are visible yet. Because consistency has a way of building silently, and when it finally shows its results, they are undeniable. Failure is one of the most misunderstood experiences in life. Too many people treat failure as the end of the road, as proof that they are not good enough, as evidence that their dreams are out of reach. But failure is not the end, it is a teacher. Failure is feedback, and if you learn to listen to it instead of running from it, you will discover that every setback is filled with lessons that can move you closer to your goals. The truth is, nobody succeeds without failing. Behind every story of success lies a long trail of mistakes, disappointments, and broken attempts. The difference between those who rise and those who quit is not the absence of failure, but the ability to use failure as information rather than condemnation. Think about a baby learning to walk. They fall countless times, sometimes with tears, sometimes with laughter, but never with the thought of quitting. Each fall teaches them balance, teaches them coordination, teaches them how to adjust. The falls are not failures in the negative sense. They are feedback guiding the child toward mastery. In the same way, your mistakes in life are not signs that you are unworthy, they are part of the learning process. The problem is that as adults, we begin to fear failure. We think failing makes us look weak, and because of this fear, many people never even take the first step toward their dreams. But let us look at the people we admire most. Inventors, leaders, entrepreneurs, athletes. They have failed more times than they have succeeded. Thomas Edison, when asked about his many failed experiments, famously said he did not fail. He simply found thousands of ways that did not work. Each failed attempt brought him closer to the solution. That is the perspective you must adopt. Failure is not a wall blocking you, it is a signpost redirecting you. It shows you what does not work so that you can move toward what does. When you make a mistake, you are not starting over from zero. You are starting over with new knowledge. Failure sharpens your perspective. It strengthens your resilience, and it reveals weaknesses you must improve. Without failure, you would not grow, because growth only comes from testing your limits. Success can make you comfortable, but failure forces you to stretch, to think differently, to try harder, and to innovate. It is through failure that you build character, humility, and wisdom. Consider an athlete training for a competition. Every missed shot, every lost game, every stumble on the track is painful in the moment, but those experiences highlight where improvement is needed. The athlete studies the failure, adapts their training, and becomes stronger for the next round. If they avoided failure, they would never discover their weaknesses. And if they never discovered their weaknesses, they would never improve. Life works the same way. Your failures are pointing to areas where you can become better if you are willing to learn. The danger is when people interpret failure as a permanent identity instead of a temporary event. Failing at something does not mean you are a failure. It simply means you tried something that did not work, and that experience can be used as a stepping stone. Too many people give up at this point, not realizing that failure is not meant to stop you but to shape you. Imagine if every successful person had quit after their first major failure. We would have no breakthroughs, no inventions, no inspiring stories. Progress itself is built on the back of repeated failure. So when you encounter failure, do not hide from it and do not run from it. Ask yourself, what can I learn? What is this experience teaching me about myself, about my strategy, about my approach? Every failure carries a message. If you learn to decode it, you will find yourself moving forward with greater wisdom and greater strength than before. When most people hear the word discipline, they imagine something heavy, restrictive, or even painful. They associate it with rules, sacrifices, and missing out on fun. But this is where so many people misunderstand discipline. True discipline is not about limiting your life. It is about unlocking your life. Discipline is not a prison. It is the key that opens doors. It is the invisible force that transforms chaos into clarity, potential into progress, and dreams into reality. Discipline may feel hard in the moment, but it creates freedom in the future, because freedom is never found in doing whatever you feel like. Freedom is found in creating a life where your choices, habits, and actions align with your goals. Think about the student who chooses to discipline themselves to study regularly rather than leaving everything for the night before an exam. In the short term, they sacrifice a few hours of entertainment, but in the long term, they experience the freedom of confidence, the freedom of opportunity, and the freedom of not living in constant panic. Or imagine the person who disciplines their spending, who resists the urge to waste money on meaningless things. At first, it feels restrictive, but over time, that discipline creates financial freedom, the ability to make choices without being chained to debt or desperation. What looks like restriction today is actually the path to greater freedom tomorrow. The absence of discipline may feel comfortable in the moment, but it eventually leads to chains. Eating whatever you want feels good for a season, but without discipline, it leads to poor health that traps you in weakness. Skipping responsibilities may feel liberating today, but without discipline, it leads to regret and lost opportunities that weigh you down tomorrow. Choosing laziness over effort may bring temporary pleasure, but without discipline, it creates a future of limitations. Lack of discipline always costs more than discipline itself. Discipline asks for effort today, but it rewards you with freedom tomorrow. Consider an athlete training for a championship. Waking up early, controlling their diet, practicing relentlessly. It all seems demanding. But when the moment of competition comes, that discipline gives them the freedom to perform at their best. Without discipline, they would not even qualify to stand on that stage. Discipline is the price you pay today for the freedom you want tomorrow. It is the foundation of all lasting success. Because talent without discipline burns out, ambition without discipline fades away, and potential without discipline remains nothing more than a dream. What makes discipline powerful is that it is within everyone's reach. You do not need to be the most talented, the wealthiest, or the luckiest person to be disciplined. Discipline is a decision. It is choosing long-term benefit over short-term comfort, choosing growth over excuses, choosing progress over procrastination. Every act of discipline, no matter how small, strengthens your character and gives you more control over your future. And when you control your habits, you control your destiny. We often admire people who live with freedom. Those who travel, achieve financial independence, or master their craft. What we rarely see is the years of disciplined effort that created that freedom. The author who wrote every day before dawn, the musician who practiced scales for hours, the entrepreneur who worked late nights while others partied. These are the unseen sacrifices that produce the visible freedoms. Discipline may not make noise, but it builds results that speak louder than words. So if you feel that discipline is limiting you, change your perspective. Discipline is not your enemy, it is your ally. It may demand effort today, but it will reward you with options, opportunities, and freedom tomorrow. Every disciplined choice you make is a deposit into the bank of your future. And one day you will withdraw a life that others only dream about. Every single day you are shaping the person you are becoming. Whether you realize it or not, your choices, your habits, your thoughts, and your actions are writing the story of your future self. The truth is, there is no distant magical day when success suddenly arrives. Success is being built right now, in the decisions you make this very moment. Your future is not some accident waiting to happen. It is the direct result of what you are doing with your time, energy, and focus today. Imagine meeting yourself 10 years from now. Would that version of you thank you for the discipline you showed, for the small improvements you made, for the patience you practiced, and for the sacrifices you embraced? Or would that version of you be filled with regret, disappointed that you wasted opportunities, ignored your growth, and allowed laziness and fear to dictate your choices? The reality is that your future self is being created one day at a time, and every small decision you make either pulls you closer to the life you want or pushes you further away from it. Think about health. If you choose today to skip exercise, eat poorly, and ignore your body, you might not see the damage immediately. But years down the line, your future self will pay the price with low energy, health struggles, and limitations. On the other hand, if you choose today to take even small steps toward better health, walking, stretching, eating cleaner, your future self will enjoy strength, freedom, and vitality. The same applies to finances. Spending recklessly today may feel exciting in the moment, but it builds a future of stress and debt. Saving, investing, and spending wisely may feel slow now, but it builds a future of independence and opportunity. Every decision plants a seed, And those seeds grow into the harvest you will live with later. One of the most dangerous lies people believe is that they have time. They delay their dreams, telling themselves they will start tomorrow, next week, or next year. But the problem is that tomorrow never comes in the way they imagine, because the habit of delay becomes part of who they are. The person who delays action today will likely delay again tomorrow, and with each delay, their future self becomes weaker, more burdened, and more filled with regret. If you want your future self to be proud, you must take responsibility today. Your actions today are also shaping your confidence and identity. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, no matter how small, you strengthen your self-belief. If you tell yourself you will wake up early, and you do it, you build trust with yourself. If you commit to learning something new daily and follow through, you strengthen your confidence. Over time, your actions create your identity, and your identity shapes how you show up in the world. A future filled with success is simply the result of daily actions aligning with who you want to become. Think of it like writing a book. Each day is a page, and everything you do is ink on that page. At the end of your life, the book of your story will be read not just by you, but by everyone who looks at your journey. What kind of story are you writing today? One of discipline, growth, and courage? Or one of procrastination, excuses, and wasted time? The book is being written whether you participate actively or not, but if you take ownership, you can write a story worth telling, a story your future self will be proud of. The most empowering truth is that the future is not far away. It is being built in the present moment. You don't have to change everything at once, but you do need to take responsibility for today, because your choices today are creating the life you will wake up to tomorrow. Your future self is depending on you, and the question is, will you deliver?